The Maple Leafs in the 28th overall pick in the 2023 NHL Draft. What are they going to do with it? Earlier today, Maple Leafs GM Brad Treliving addressed the media, and he said during that media availability that there's a good bet that the Maple Leafs will keep their pick at 28th overall and use it in Wednesday's first round of the NHL Draft in Nashville. And speaking after Treliving was Maple Leafs Director of Amateur Scouting and the Assistant Director of Player Personnel, Wes Clark, and the media asked him what they were looking for with the 28th overall pick and the ones beyond that. And this is what Wes Clark had to say. What he basically said about what the Maple Leafs were looking for was a player that had intelligence, a willing to work, and the want and drive to win. Look at a guy like Matthew Knies, for instance. He came into the NHL and made an impact right away. I think that's what the Maple Leafs are looking for with these picks this season, because it is, as people say, a very deep draft this year, and the Maple Leafs could cash in if they choose to do so with the 28th overall pick and two more after that. Or if they do try to trade down or trade up or whatever that may be, the Maple Leafs are going into this with open eyes. But the biggest question is, who are the Maple Leafs going to pick with the 28th overall selection? And throughout the day, yesterday and today, I've done some research on elite prospects. They have a consolidated ranking board, and I've looked through that to see who might the Maple Leafs take with this first round pick. First off is Andrew Cristall, a left winger who's 5'10", 165 pounds. He played for the Kelowna Rockets the past 3 seasons. This past year, he was an assistant captain, 95 points in 54 games. He also played for Team Canada, Hlinka Gretzky, this year, scoring 6 points in 5 games. This guy, although he is at 5'10", and he's a little under what you might want for a winger, I think there's a lot that this guy brings to the table. And this is what Elite Prospects NHL Draft Guide had to say about Andrew Cristall. A dynamic player through and through, Cristall adds the extra flash to every play. He beats defenders with head fakes, handling skills, and slick edges before cutting inside or finding a teammate burst into the slot. He starts the plays, builds them, and then puts the finishing touches on them. He's an inventive playmaker, capable of turning the mundane into the brilliant, breaking down opponents with feints and deception before sending perfectly weighted passes to his teammates to do the rest. Now you wonder, what are the Maple Leafs' needs for this draft this year? Obviously, Wes Clark said what he said, but where are the Leafs looking to draft? Are they looking to draft defense, goalie, forward? And if so, at forward, where would they go? I think the most likely place that they would draft is at forward, because you look at the defense, you have Topi Niemela in the ranks, you also have Timothy Liljegren in there as well, and Connor Timmins, who we forget about a lot, who's also in this, I guess, prospect pool, particularly, if you want to say that. And I think the Leafs would be smart here if they could go draft at forward. And I think at forward, it's either a left wing or a center role, because you have guys like Mitch Marner and William Nylander on the right wing already. And I think the Maple Leafs need more at left wing. You could argue at center too, with John Tavares eventually going to move to the wing. You're going to need someone who's the sort of second line center to Auston Matthews. And I think maybe you could find that in this year's draft. And speaking of that centerman, it could be Nate Danielson from Red Deer, Alberta, who's a 6'1", 187-pound right shot centerman who last played for the Brandon Wheat Kings, and he was a leader on this team. And I think that's what the Maple Leafs are looking for this year, is a guy who really can push the boundaries and be a leader on a team. He was the captain for the Brandon Wheat Kings this season, scoring 78 points in 68 games, and Elite Prospects has a lot of good things to say about Nate Danielson. Danielson was a creator of rush offense, building speed beneath the puck, charging through the neutral zone with possession, carving the ice up with powerful, agile crossovers, and turning the corner on opposing defensemen. Equal parts natural speed as a skater and handling skill made that a relatively effective signature move for the Wheat Kings center. Now, what's interesting about Danielson is he's a right shot, and the Leafs don't have many right shot centermen in the organization. I think this could be a nice little 1-2 punch if he was to eventually get to the point of an NHL player. And, you know, you still have Auston Matthews. It could be a nice 1-2 punch of Matthews and Danielson. Whether or not he has the upside of being a second line center in the NHL, yet to be seen, but maybe he fits somewhere around there. Maybe he fits in the third line. but that's really far into the future right now. But I think Nate Danielson, as it stands right now, would be a solid pick for the Maple Leafs at 28th overall. The third out of 4 selections that I've picked of who I think the Maple Leafs will select in the first round is a defenseman from Russia with the name Mikhail Golov. He's a 5'10" left shot defenseman who weighs 170 pounds. He last played in Russia in the MHL, 25 points in 22 games as a defenseman. He also played 13 games in the KHL, which was nice to see. He also played in the Hlinka Gretzky Cup, scoring 5 points in 5 games. Any defenseman out there that you could get in this draft, I think if the Maple Leafs were to get this guy, or if he was to fall to 28th overall, I think the Maple Leafs should jump all over it. And from elite prospects, man, can Mikhail Golov fly out there. You give him an inch and he sprinted a mile past you with about as effortless and clean a stride as you've ever seen. It's the defining characteristic of his game, the foundation on which every other part rests. Every bit as comfortable a defensive skater, Golov gaps up early, often attacks puck carriers on an arc, and always takes away the middle of the ice with his stick. When you lose a guy like Rasmus Sandin in a trade and you get this first round pick back, I think you can either choose to go forward, and if you ever want to go with a defenseman, you go with a left shot, because the Maple Leafs don't have that. And although they are more easy to find than right shot defensemen, I think Golov would be a pretty good pick at 28th overall. And I should say this about the 3 players that I've already talked about: it's if they make it to 28th overall. A lot of them have a number of rankings having them over 30 and some under 30, so it's always possible they get picked before the Maple Leafs go up to the stage. But if this next player is available at number 28 overall, you should take him over anyone else in the draft other than obviously the top 10 that is available. This one player could really help the Maple Leafs in the long run. If you haven't heard the name already, Quentin Myers, a 17-year-old left winger, 6'2", 190 pounds. He's an assistant captain last season with the Sudbury Wolves, 78 points, 53 games. He played in the Hlinka Gretzky, scoring 5 points in 4 games for Team USA. This is a guy who's a powerhouse. It looks like he's a powerhouse. His size is unbelievable. I think if the Maple Leafs were to get this guy, they would be in very good hands for the future. Similar to Matthew Knies, he's a really big guy, left winger, and he has a lot of things that he brings to the table. He brings a little bit of everything to the table, says Elite Prospects, and does so in a projectable, imposing 6'2" frame. Better still, he's not shy about leveraging every part of it to dispossess opponents of the puck, wreak havoc along the boards and at the net front, and to barrel down the wing off the rush. His vision is top-notch, and he's equipped with the cunning and passing skill necessary to connect with layered feeds around skates and sticks. Now, it doesn't look like he's going to fall to 28th overall, but again, he is a guy who, if the Maple Leafs can get, they should. This is a guy who could do a lot of good things in Toronto alongside Matthew Knies. He could be a guy who could fill with Matthew Knies and be part of their top 6 at forward. I think this would be a smart get if Toronto could get him. Again, though, that's if he falls to 28th overall. It might not look like he is going to. But yeah, let me know what you think of the 4 selections I got, and let me know if there's another player who you think the Maple Leafs should draft in Wednesday's first round, with the Maple Leafs having 28th overall selection. Put it in the comment section down below. That, though, is where I'm going to end off today's video. If you did enjoy it, make sure to leave a like. If you really enjoyed it, subscribe. 3 videos down today, and I hope you enjoyed them all. I'll put the other 2 videos down in the description so you can watch those if you haven't already. And yeah, tomorrow's the draft. I'll have a video of who the Maple Leafs select and what they could bring to the table in the future for Toronto. And again, that is it for this video. We'll see you in the next one.